Now, let us go in a proper way to encounter this problem, that why we have to go for this conversion method, which is the very scientific and accurate method. The profit and loss calculated under this method is very accurate and it is on the most scientific basis. You will come to know why it is so. It is derived by preparing all the necessary accounts and by giving both the debit and credit aspects and effects, which is a must in double entry bookkeeping system. Here, final accounts can be prepared because they are possible to be prepared. And with these final accounts, one can easily ascertain the profit or loss made by the business or the assets and liabilities position of the business as at the end of the accounting year. Why this conversion method and what is this conversion method? This conversion method is nothing but it tries to convert single entry into proper double entry bookkeeping system. It is the most scientific and accurate, I said, because here the profit or loss is having authenticity and the position of assets liabilities also is having authenticity as to the true and fair value of it. It helps in ascertaining the missing figures, and this is the beauty. Friends, in accountancy, if you take this topic as a puzzle, because see, in any puzzle you get some missing figures, and if you develop interest or if you have interest or you create interest, you love that, and when you have that final answer, you are very happy. If accountancy also you take from that interest, and these missing figures which are really the main thing in the single entry conversion method, you will understand this topic, and this will lay a very good foundation for your further accountancy career courses. And finally, it is a complete bookkeeping system because wherever there is any second debit or credit effect pending, this conversion method gives that or records that second effect and makes it a perfect double entry bookkeeping system. Now, how second effect is given? Let us take when that small businessman, he comes to you and he is seeking your help to know his profit or loss and asset liability position. See what is actually there and what we need to do. Right now, say when he's paying wages to that person who is there in his shop, who is actually helping him in selling or he is packing the goods for the customer. So that small businessman is paying him wages. Now, when he's paying him wages, he's recording that in his cash book. So one effect of the transaction is given already in the cash book. But as we believe in double entry bookkeeping system, second effect is to be given. Now, the second effect was to be given in the wages account, and wages account is expense account, and it comes in general ledger. But that businessman doesn't know what is general ledger. He doesn't know what is accounts. So that's why he has not prepared wages account. And this second effect, which is to be given in the wages account, in this conversion method, we give by debiting that wages amount to trading account. Why to trading account? Because in your double entry bookkeeping system, when you have a trial balance and on the debit side, you have wages in the debit column, that you show in the trading account debit side, because it is the place where wages are finally recorded at the end of the accounting year. Now let us go to office rent. Suppose that particular shopkeeper has paid the office rent, that shop rent, and again for this he has recorded that in the cash book. So one aspect is recorded. But what about the office rent account? Second effect should have gone to office rent, and that again he has not prepared because it is a part of general ledger. So that office rent, which finally goes to profit and loss account, in this conversion method, this second effect we give by recording office rent on the debit side of profit and loss account. This is how the second effect is given. Let us see a few more transactions like this. Suppose the amount is received from customer. There are certain customers to whom we sell on credit basis. So they pay on the latter date. Now, when that customer has paid some amount, say by check or cash on the latter date, it is definitely recorded in the cash book. And say if it is received by check in the passbook or bank statement. But what about the amount paid by the customer to be recorded in his account? And that is sundry debtors account. That sundry debtors account second effect, which is pending, that we give here under the conversion method, and for that we have sundry debtors account, which we'll see in the later slide. Again, coming to say, when we pay to our supplier from whom we have made credit purchases. Now here, when the payment is made, again by cash or check, it gets recorded the first effect in cash book or the passbook bank statement. But here again, the second effect is pending because that second effect is to be given in the sundry creditors account, which is again not prepared by the small businessman, but which we do in the conversion method. And for that, we have creditors account. So second effect is recorded here. Similar, all second effects, it might be debit effect pending or say credit effect pending, that we give, and thereby we make this incomplete bookkeeping system a single entry bookkeeping system as double entry bookkeeping system, and thereby we can definitely prepare the final accounts of the business, which we'll see now in the following slides. Now, why the need for conversion method again? So in this conversion method, that what we prepare, it is a big list, but then if you understand each and everything and certain things you are well versed as you have dealt with them in FYJC and SYJC, certain things are new, but they are very, very easy and not at all difficult. So what we have in this conversion method, we have statement of affairs on the opening date of the accounting year with assets and liabilities given, and where some amount is there as a missing figure that we have seen earlier also. Now, when we have to prepare statement of affairs on the opening date, only when the opening balance sheet is not given. Because when the opening balance sheet is given, you know what is the opening asset and opening liabilities of each and everything. So why there is again a duplication. So when opening balance sheet is given, opening statement of affairs is not prepared. It means when opening balance sheet is not given, statement of affairs of the opening date is a must. It is always prepared and it always has some missing figure, and that we'll see in the later slide. Then what we have, trading account, which we prepare in a normal manner. You know, trading account, you have been preparing this since FYJC, SYJC. On the debit side, you have opening stock. Then you have purchases, cash and credit. Then you have wages. Then you have carriage inward. On the credit side, you have sales, cash and credit. Then from that, sales return. On the debit side also, purchase returns we minus. On the credit side, certain other items we have, like goods distributed as free samples, goods stolen, goods lost by fire, and then we have closing stock. And finally, when we close this trading account, you will either have on the debit side gross profit, which is brought forward on the credit side of P&L, or if debit side is more, you will have gross loss on the credit side, which is brought forward on the debit side of profit and loss account. This is a very familiar account because you have been dealing with this since FYJC. Profit and loss account, it starts with the gross profit to gross loss brought forward from trading account. It has all the indirect expenses like expenses incurred in office, then selling department and finance expense, etc. For example, on the debit side, you have office rent, office salary, printing and stationery, telephone expense, electricity expenses, then audit fees, then depreciation on the office assets, etc. And then on the credit side, you have interest received, dividend received, profit on sale of investments, profit on sale of fixed assets, etc. Then on the debit side, you also have bad debts, RBD. On the debit side, you have to discount allowed. On the credit side, you have discount received. And finally, we close this profit and loss account with net profit or net loss. Then we have balance sheet. It is prepared in a usual manner, you know. On the liability side, it starts with opening capital. Then in that, you add fresh capital introduced. Then you minus drawings made. And then you add net profit for the year. If it is net loss, then you minus that. And then you get a capital balance, which we show in the outer column. Then on the liability side, we have bank loans, creditors, outstanding expenses, bills payables, bank overdraft, etc. On the asset side, we have fixed assets, investments, cash and bank balance, stock, debtors, bills receivables, prepaid expenses, etc. So this you are familiar with because you have dealt with all these three in FYJC and SYJC. Now, what is cash and bank account? It is very simple, and you will be preparing, say, for the first time, but it is not something new. What is cash and bank account? It is the account of all cash and bank related transaction where the money is received during the year, either in cash or by some bank payments, digital payments, and payment is made in cash or payment is made, say, through some digital, say, by check or by digital payment method. Again, we have here debtors account or something new, very interesting and very simple also to understand, where you have to understand each and every entry. Friends, one thing you have to understand in accountancy, accountancy is the simplest paper on this earth because it is having only two things, debit and credit. And if you understand this debit and credit, I think any accounting topic and any accounting course and career for that matter will be very easy for you. But unfortunately, I'm saying here that there are hundreds and thousands of students, they by-heart accounting entry, which is wrong. Accounting entry is to be understood with respect to its debit and credit. It is never ever to be by-hearted. So these accounts, sundry debtors, bills receivable, sundry creditors, and bills payable, which we are going to see in detail, we have to not by-heart these accounts, because if you by-heart, tell from me that you will never ever be a very good accountant, nor you will do very good in your academic endeavor. So what is debtors account we'll be having? It is the account of all customers from whom the business is making credit purchases during the year, and how the amounts are received from these customers during the year is recorded in the sundry debtors account. Then we have bills receivables account. You know, bills receivables is what? Actually, certain customers from whom we have to receive amounts, say after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And suppose we are in need of funds and we go to these customers and ask them the payment, they will say, no, you have given me 30 days time, 60 days time, 90 days time. How you can come and ask me right now? So what we do, we tell that customer, okay, fine, don't make me payment, but I am preparing one bill of exchange. This bill of exchange you accept and you return it to me. And when that bill is accepted by the customer and returned, that bill we call bills receivable. Now the beauty of this bill is what? This bill we can take to the bank and we can tell the bank, please finance us against this bill. So bank gives you money. Definitely they deduct certain interest and commission for that. And then they keep that bill with them. On the due date of the bill after 30 days, 60 days, the bank goes to our customer and customer is asked to or required to make the payment, which customer normally does. And if customer doesn't make the payment, then that is called bill honor, and bank will again come to us, and then we have to make the payment to the bank, and we have to recover from our customer. That is bills receivable account. So this type of bills receivables we are having, and the payments received from customers towards it, or we have given that bill to bank, which we call bill discounting. It might so happen that this bill we have given to our creditor who is asking from us the payment. So that we call bill endorse. There is a third way, you know, that this bill we can give to the bank for collection because we are busy people. So we tell our bank, keep this bill with you. And after 30 days or 60 days, you go to our customer, Mr. XYZ, and ask him to make the payment. He will make the payment and please credit that payment to my account. So that is called bill for collection. So this type of transactions are there in bills receivable account. Now sundry creditors account. Now this account is account of all suppliers from whom we make credit purchases throughout the year. This indicates what is the total amount of credit purchases made by the business from all these customers taken together. It is not one customer, it is a list of account of all the customers, one account, and how the payments are made to these suppliers against these credit purchases during the year. And finally, we have bills payables account. It is exactly opposite to bills receivables. As we have to pay to creditors, and suppose creditors are in need of money, our suppliers are in need of money, then they will approach us, they will prepare a bill, they will ask us to accept, and we will return that bill after accepting. For us, that bill will be bills payable. So here we have a bills payable account where these bills, when we accept, after that, how these bills are honored, etc., that entire accounting we do in these bills payables accounts. Now let us see all these things through a solved example one by one. Now here I have given a complete solution of one single entry conversion problem where we will have trading account, which we are having right now in front of us. Then P&L will come, the balance sheet will come, opening statement of affairs will come, debtors account will come, bills receivable account will come, creditors account will come, bills payable account will come, and cash and bank account will come. So entire solution I have divided in these parts, and let us understand each and every accounts entry and both the debit and credit effects of that. While understanding this, I will also tell you that which figures out of these figures we give you ready-made and which are the balancing figure, the missing figures that we have to calculate. First of all, missing figures will come to at the end of the presentation. Initially, in conversion method, we have to understand both the debit and credit effects of every transaction. So we must know where the debit goes and where the credit goes. And when you understand, I say understand, not by heart. When you understand each and every item of this, all accounts and statements, believe me, friends, you will master single entry. Right from my FYB.com till today, I have never by hearted any entry or any transaction. It is just understanding in the logical debit credit manner, and then you can master this topic, and ultimately you can master your accountancy papers, and then career you can pursue. Now on the debit side of the trading account, opening stock. Now this is one effect. Now we have to see the second effect. Now since it is opening stock, definitely is must have come from the opening balance sheet. Now when opening balance sheet is given, the second effect of this day is there on the asset side of the opening balance sheet. So opening stock, two effects: opening balance sheet asset side and trading account debit side. Now suppose opening balance sheet is not given and we are given asset liabilities of the opening date with some missing figure, then we prepare a statement of affairs. So in that opening statement of affairs, this opening stock will be there on the asset side. So second effect of this opening stock of the trading side, trading debit side, will be opening balance sheet asset side, or you can call that as a statement of affairs on the opening date if opening balance sheet is not ready-made given. Let us go to the next one. Purchases in cash. Now this cash purchases means payment must have been made in cash. So cash must have gone out. You know, cash is a real account. So credit what goes out. So when you are making cash payment, cash is going out. So cash is to be credited. That is the reason why this debit cash purchases here will have second effect on the credit side of your cash bank account. So two effects of cash purchases: trading account debit side and cash and bank credit side. Now below that we have credit purchases. Now credit purchases means what? Here we have made purchases from our suppliers, and for that payment is not yet made. We will make payment say after a week's time or fortnight or a month, and after that the supplier will get the payment. But till that the second effect of is to be given. So obviously the second effect of is to be given to the supplier's account, and supplier's account we call as creditor's account. So second effect of credit purchases goes on the credit side of sundry creditors account. So when we will have sundry creditors account, you will come to see this on the credit side also. Similarly, this cash purchase also I will show you on the cash and bank account credit side. But right now you understand where the second effect goes. Then we have purchase return. Now this purchase return, which we have minus from debit side. Understand friends, in accountancy, a debit item is shown on the debit side, and if it is subtracted from the debit side, then it is not debit, it is credit. So this purchase returns that we minus from here on the debit side is actually credit. Shown on the debit side as less means credit. So here the credit is given and debit is pending. Now what debit is pending? You know, when the goods are returned, obviously they are returned to suppliers. So second effect of this must go to supplier's account. And as I said, from debit side, when we minus something, that means it is credit. So this is credit, and for this credit, a corresponding debit has to go to supplier's account, that is creditor's account, that we'll see afterwards. Now carriage inward. Now carriage inward means it is the amount paid while buying goods. It might be say for the transport or other incidental charges, because you know when the goods are bought, they are either bought say air route or sea route or by road, and you have to pay carriage, tempo charges, truck charges, or the charges paid to railway authorities and all that. So that is called carriage inward. So debit side here, and the second effect, obviously since the payment is made, it will be on the credit side of cash and bank account. Then we have wages. Now here wages, this amount is paid to the workers who are working in the factory or in a small shop. Now this amount is paid as wages, is a debit effect, and it will have a second effect in the again cash and bank account credit side. Now we have outstanding wages also. What is outstanding wages? These are the wages for our workers to be paid in the current accounting year, but for some reason they are not paid in say March, they are paid in April. So they are called outstanding wages. And why then, even if they are not paid, they are added here? Because we go by accrual method, and accrual method is also called as mercantile method, and it says that expenses and incomes of a particular year are to be recorded in that year only, whether they are paid in that year or not, or whether they are received in that year or not. So since these wages are for March, they might be actually paid in April or May. They are added here as expense of this current year. Now here we are added on the debit side of the trading account. So credit effect is pending. Now this credit effect will be shown on the liability side of the balance sheet, closing balance sheet, because liability side always have credit by items, and those items which are shown on the liability side as a subtraction or deduction or less, they are debit items. So these outstanding wages, debit effect is trading account debit side, which you are seeing here, and the credit effect is balance sheet liability side. Now this gross profit, on the debit side, we brought forward this on the credit side of P&L, which will be there in the next slide. Then here, cash. Cash sales, 4,86,000. Now it is here on the credit side. So second effect of this will go on the debit side of cash and bank account, because here amount is received. Credit sales, these are the goods sold to our customers, and customers are going to pay us after certain periods, say after a week or a fortnight, 30, 60 days. So credit is here. So debit has to go to customer's account, and customer's account is debtor's account. So for this 21,45,000, we will debit customer's account, that is debtor's account. Then we have sales return here. What is sales return? It is the goods which are returned by our customers. Now here again, less. Less means what? On the credit side, less means it is debit. So debit effect is here, and the credit effect is to be given to customer's account. So sales return you will find on the credit side of debtor's account. Now goods distributed as free samples. Whenever a new business is started, that particular product, when that company or business want that people should buy, before that they have to do advertising. And the best way of advertising a particular goods is that the goods are given initially as free samples. So people use it, and if really that product is good, then they buy that afterwards by paying money. So when the goods are distributed as free samples, it is a way of advertising. So this credit item of goods distributed as free samples is given a second effect. Here is the credit effect. The debit effect goes on the profit and loss account debit side, as we write there to advertising, and in bracket you can write goods distributed as free samples. Then we have, say, goods lost by fire. Now here we have two items, because there might be a case that there is a fire in the shop or in the factory, wherever it is there, and the goods are either insured or not insured. If the goods are insured, and for that when we make insurance claim and insurance company accepts that, insurance company pays for that insurance. So when the goods are lost by fire and insurance company admits the claim, that means that amount is receivable. So that second effect is shown in the balance sheet. How it is shown? Understand. Here we are having on the credit side goods lost by fire. So debit effect is pending, and debit effect is given on the asset side, because asset side of the balance sheet has debit items, and those items which are shown on the asset side by way of deduction are credit items. So here goods lost by fire is shown on the credit side of trading account, but for that insurance claim is accepted by the insurance company because the goods were insured. The second effect of this will be debit, and that will come on the asset side of the balance sheet, closing balance sheet, as insurance claim 15,000, which you will see when you will see the balance sheet. Goods lost by fire which are not insured. Suppose goods are lost, they are destroyed by fire, and unfortunately insurance was not taken. So entire amount will be a loss. Nobody is going to pay you single rupee for that. So this is a loss by fire, and for this credit, a second debit effect will be there on the profit and loss account debit side. And finally, this clothing stock on the credit side, what you see, the debit effect of this clothing stock will be there again on the asset side of the balance sheet, because asset side have debit items and credit items are shown by way of deduction. Whatever explanation I have given you, the same explanation you can see in this next slide. Opening stock, where from it is coming? It is coming from the asset side of the opening statement of affairs, if we prepare that, or if it is ready-made given, then from opening balance sheet. On the debit side, you saw purchases cash. So where the second effect goes, credit side of cash and bank. Credit purchases on the debit side, what you see in the trading account? What is the second effect? Credit side of sundry creditors account. Purchase returns which we minus from the trading account debit side. Second effect, debit side of creditors account. Carriage inwards which you see on the debit side of trading account. Second effect is credit side of cash and bank account. Wages which you see on the trading account debit side. Second effect, credit side of cash and bank account. Wages outstanding which you add on the trading account debit side. Second effect, liability side of the closing balance sheet. And this gross profit is brought forward on the profit and loss account credit side. These are the debit items of trading account, the explanation which I already given. Now let us see credit side of trading account, for which again also I have given you explanation, but let us see in the next slide. These are the credit items. So buy cash sales, second effect, debit to cash and bank. Credit sales, debit to sundry debtors account. Credit side sales returns, credit to sundry debtors account. Goods distributed as fee samples, second effect, debit to profit and loss account. Goods lost by fire insured and claim is admitted, asset side of balance sheet, and what we write there, insurance claim. Goods lost by fire for which insurance is not there, second effect, debit side of P&L, because nobody is going to pay you for that. And closing stock, asset side of the balance sheet closing. This is trading account, debit and credit items, second effect.